Okay, boys. This is after some long time of waiting. US 30, I bought and told you guys that we have to buy US 30. Sorry, US oil, right? I bought because I saw that there was some structure, but yeah, we have halfway, like halfway. I can hold these trades, but US oil is not something that I usually hold for long. Once I make some profit, especially this high here over here, we see that price has just taken it out, right? So this is an indication for our sake. So I'll close, yes, I'll close, and hopefully we shall look for a better setup. So from 500k, we are now in 800. Okay, guys, this is what we call trading. Okay, it's not just about the profits, but it's about understanding the market structure and just trading with the market structure. Because told you, I remember I told you guys that we have this low, okay, and then we have a high that was formed in the markets. So I was telling you guys that when sorry for that. Okay, so as I was telling you, right, we have this high over here. Price came and took out this high. If you observe to the left, we have this high. Price came, took it out. That was the indication. And then after this, price is starting to correct, right? So in this correction phase, we see that price can potentially have another setup for a buy. Now, once we have the high, remember we have this was a low, higher low, higher low. You see that price is respecting these higher lows. It's not going underneath these higher lows. That means that we have a high probability of price doing what? Continuing for that push. So that's why I entered although it was a bit of a risky trade, but that's why I entered that position in the first place. I didn't look for sales as most people would look for sales here, because remember I told you that we have higher lows, okay, higher lows. So if price is making higher lows, we know that in most of the cases, at least like 80% of the time, it will always look for the next area where it can offload its buying pressure. So the first area which I saw was here. That's where I closed out most of my positions. The second area after a break above this area is this area above here. So definitely, if price manages to break above here as it has done here, then we can have a push perhaps towards this level above. Beyond that, we don't have any significant information. So let me go back to gold and then I'll show you what gold has been doing for the past couple of candles. Okay, so on gold, you see that price has so far, we see that we have this low over here. I don't want you guys to over complicate your charts, because when you over complicate, you are making the work harder for yourself. Okay, so we have that low. Okay, we have that higher low. It's a lower high, sorry. We have that lower high, and then we have that second lower high, and then we have another lower high over there. So we know that for gold right now, price, although it's bullish in the instance, it's not bullish long term, right? In the short term, it's bullish, but we know that it's still in that bearish continuation. How do we know that it's in the bearish continuation? First of all, we have very many lower highs that price has to break so that we can have any significant push to the upside. Second, price has formed many significant lower lows. Look at that. This was a lower low, a new lower low, another new lower low, right? So all this correction phase here, all this move here, even though it can give you like a 10 pip or 100 pip moves, this is all, it can be considered a correction phase, right? This is all correction until we have that break of structure that we have here, right? So we have this break of structure. Now we have a bit of a correction, so we want to see if price will manage to have that continuation push to the upside, right? Now where would I consider my entries, right? So the first things first, we see that we have this level of support on the H1, on the H4, sorry. So price came here and then it bought off of this area to break the previous structure, right? So given this, that means that if I'm to wait for a pullback, this pullback can be after the indication is made. We expect price to make a correction, all right, so that we have a new higher low, and then afterwards we shall be able to take in buys. Now here's the crazy part: you can wait for this for this setup to take place after one full day. All right, it's okay to wait for like 1 day for the setup to come to you, right? You don't have to force it. You can wait a full day for this setup to come to you, right? You can wait a week for price to make that correction, all right? This is all just about patience, okay? So given all that, let me just show you my another analysis. I strongly believe that price can easily start to sell off on gold once we go underneath this area here again, because I want you guys to observe that. Remember, I've told you that from the previous structure that we have been having for the past couple of weeks, right? Price has been extremely bearish on gold, and I've showed you guys that underneath this area, this was the most previous level of support that we had before price shifted, right? So you see that price eventually, after it broke here, it made a correction. Now if it goes underneath this zone, I'll be looking for sales. Simple as that. Simple as that. Simple as clear and day, right? Nothing too fancy, nothing what. I'm just following the structure that market is giving me. I told you already that gold has a funny way of giving you structure and then taking you out afterwards. Let me first close this position on US oil. I'll close like 49 lots on this. 49 lots. Okay, so I'll just leave only one lot to run. So if you observe, that was my entry. I told you guys, I think I explained this video some time back, right? I told you that we have these higher lows. Okay, we have this higher low over here. Price respected this higher low, it never went underneath it, and then we have a new higher low over here, and then this was the previous or current higher low. So for this one, I'll be expecting at least price to push, maybe it was this high here, because it looks so awkward just being there above. So I'm just expecting that price can potentially take out that high. Simple as that. But back to gold. Sorry for that. So we shall go back to gold here. Okay, so for gold here, as we see gold, I've told you that underneath this level and above this level, if I remove this, so underneath this level, I'm expecting sales in gold, and under here, because we saw the indication over here, this was the indication. Now this is all just correction, and then after I was expecting a continuation push the downside, right? Now let me just give you a simple trick that you guys can understand, can use in your daily trading routines, right? So let me just take a quick photo, a quick screenshot that I can show you. So let's say this is our level. Crap, should I first remove this? Let me first remove this. Okay, so let's make a new screenshot. Okay, so let's say for instance price is making a level, right? We have this high, we have then this low, then we have this higher low, right? Then lower high, sorry, and then price makes a lower low, and then it comes above that level. So this is like the indication, you know, that underneath this level price is selling, right? But then what happens is that instead of it comes under here, right, for the first time, and people are like, oh, it's going to sell, then it goes above, right, then it goes under but never breaks the previous structure. That's what I'm trying to teach you guys, that if price manages to sell off, right, if it goes underneath your zone and it corrects immediately, and after correction, that's where you should wait. This is the most important part. If you are selling, if you are, for instance, if you saw this indication, this was an indication, right? This was a low, right? Price took it out to make a new lower low. So this is an indication phase, right? And then this can be called correction, and then this is the continuation once price goes underneath this level. But I want you guys to understand that if price goes underneath this level, right, and it fails to make a new lower low, then you may have a criteria to look for entries for what? For buys. So what happens in most of the cases is that price usually fails. After it fails to break the previous lower low, it will first of all move to the upside to collect liquidity or take out some people, right? And then after it will sell off, right? That is what happens like in most of the trading instances that I've been using, right? So when you have something like that, so we have this, we have a break, correction, price comes here, it fails to break to the downside, instead it builds up structure for the bullish side, right? That's why you know that if you are in sales, this is where you should get out of the market and just call it a break-even day, because the moment you start holding these trades, you get messed up. that's when you get messed up, because price will go underneath this area, take you out, and then after that it will continue selling, right? Or it could go above your zone. As you can see, it can go above here and then just drop instantly. So you have to be very careful of how you trade this setup. Okay, so with that said, I think gold, for now I've told you that you're going to expect some sales. Once price goes underneath here, we shall expect some sales. Also, if I get some structure like this is a structure which I love the most. This is my most efficient structure when it comes to selling, right? So price makes that low, right? Make that pullback, right? And then afterwards we have that sell off. Once we have that break of structure, especially on the high time frame like the H4, once we have that break of structure to the downside, which is confirmed, right? That's when I'm 100% confident that price will eventually have to sell heavily. Because imagine if price makes these lower highs, right, before it goes underneath your zone, that means that you have you have levels where you can place your stop loss. Now when you have levels where you can place your stop losses, right, that means that if I was to sell under here, let's say if price came under this zone here, right? So let's say price came under this zone as we have talked about, right? Price comes underneath this zone. If I'm to sell here, right? If I'm to sell under here, look at this. I'll take my position for a sell, okay? My stop loss will be just, as you can see, that will be my entry. I'll be targeting like these lows here, okay? These will be my targets. So it's around, how much is that? Around 1.62%, right? 1.62%. My stop loss will just be above just this low here. So look at that. That will be like a 1 to 2 risk to reward ratio, right? And when I talk about the stop loss, for most people, I don't think they understand the concept of stop loss. I think what most people don't understand is that a stop loss is there to give you an idea of where price can potentially take you out, right? When you have a stop loss in the market, it's not like a dedication. It's not like you are trying to lose. No, a stop loss is there to guide you. It's there to tell you that, hey, if price goes above this level, I'm willing to get out at this zone, right? So if I put my stop loss just above this area, look at this. If I put my stop loss here, right? If I sell underneath my zone here and I put my stop loss there above, I'm telling myself that if price manages it, if it fails, let's say this is price, right? It goes underneath the zone as I had predicted, right? But it fails to hold. This zone fails to hold, right? So it makes that pullback. Now, if I have not calculated my stop loss above here, what happens is that this pullback will usually take me out, right? This small pullback that you see will easily take me out, and then afterwards, price will find enough momentum to continue lower. So you have to be very careful and vigilant of the way you place your stop losses. Otherwise, you'll be taken out of the market, and then price will start moving in your way, right? So let me just show you another example so that you guys can understand where I'm coming from. Okay. So we are back to gold, right? So we have this low over here, right? I want you guys to observe this low. So price, as you can see, it was bullish, right? It was bullish above this area here. So it was bullish above it was bullish above 4760, right? It was very bullish above 4760. This is gold, right? 4760 is bullish. Then what happens is that underneath this level of support, price broke this level of support at 4667, right? So after that break of level of support, it showed us the indication. Okay, now where would I have placed my entries for sales? Exactly, this is now where the magic comes in. I would have sold underneath this area. My stop loss would have been just above these lower highs, right? And then my first TP will be where the price ended here, so that's around $600. But as you can see, $600 will not be good risk, especially if I'm to consider the fact that I'm risking at $1,000, right? Oh, this is like 1 million. Oh crap. Amazing. Oh, this is such a big lot. Okay, let me first use like 1.1 lot, right? Okay, so as you can see, if you have a prop farm, your stop loss will be around 5k, right? This is like a 200k prop farm, I'm just saying. So the TP, you can put the first TP here, that's around 10k, right? And then the second TP can be all the way down here, that's around 15k, right? But look at that, price made that 15k move after like, without no pullback. Like if I'm to put, this would have been my risk here. Like would have been risking almost like 2k to make all that money, right? So the main point that I'm trying to bring across, is that you have the potential to hold these markets, right? As long as you're able to understand that once you put on a risk, you must be able to withstand that drawdown. Because I think the most important thing that most people miss is that they don't understand the fact that market can easily go against you without veil, right? It can just easily go like that, easily like that. It can go against you, right? So you have to be willing to understand the risk that you're putting on yourself. Okay, guys. So with that being said, I think I've been analyzing gold like for the past couple of years, and if I was to start all over again and teach someone how to trade, I will tell them 100%. I will tell them that structure is one of the best ways you can trade gold. With structure, you don't have to worry about things like having a small account, having like with structure everything just falls into place because you don't have to worry about literally anything. So if structure tells you we are bullish, you buy. If it tells you we are bearish, you sell. There is no need to fear, right? Since structure tells you something, you just do it. Okay, so this is a daily time frame. Daily time frame, as you can see, we have this we had this level of support. Anything above here, we see that price was being bullish, right? But the moment price went underneath here, we had the indication. So we have the indication, the correction, all right? The continuation here failed to break this previous low. Now I want you guys to observe something. So this is price on gold in the daily time frame. We have this higher low over here, okay? And then price came and made this lower low, and then price made this what? Lower high. So when price makes a lower high, all right, that gives us an indication that it wants to do what? Start becoming bullish. Now we know that price is likely to start becoming bullish given all the tension in the US to Iran war, right? So if that gives us enough confirmations, then we can look for better entries. But so far our account today, we have made over 300k, right? 300k USD just in a single day. If you go to today, actually today is when I closed the biggest profit, $108 million. But I wanted just to show you this. I want to show you this 100 and what? Yeah, US oil. US oil is here. So I deposited like 500k, and then afterwards we are in almost 300k in profit, right? Actually, even US oil is starting to become bullish. If you observe, it's starting to buy. Okay, the analysis for US oil is actually crazy because I never went to like the high time for like a daily. But if you observe, we have these levels. We have these highs that price actually broke out of. Okay, we have also this high over here. Okay, and then we have this level which can act as an indication, right? So this was an indication. So price is currently in the correction phase. If you observe, price bought until we reach this area where price now is starting to be shift, right? But we know that underneath this level that we have marked here, price is extremely what? Underneath here, price was extremely bearish because we sold all the way to here. What happened next is that price after that it started to do what? To buy. So this was a strong bullish momentum that came into the markets. So with that being said, we can definitely wait and see. Sorry for that. We can definitely wait for price to make a new higher high. Perhaps not a new higher high basically, but to see price push for the next coming hours. First of all, we know that the Iran-US wars, it's still in conflict, right? So that means that the oil prices is actually going to be damp. It's going to be like hiking up, right? So when price is rising up, we know that US oil, when it's rising up, gold is usually also on the bust for buys. But so far I'm seeing very good symptoms for gold. And I wanted to share this with most people, but most people are not in the Telegram channel, so they They usually don't have like much access to most of this information. So please make sure that you join the Telegram channel so that you have access, right? So also on gold, I've realized that we have this high over here. So this was a high, price broke above the high. We have a correction, it never went underneath this low, and then price is now starting to become bullish above this level. So we have lots of confirmation that gold is going to become bullish in the next coming weeks, especially after we break above. So let me just give you a clue, because I want you guys to go back and watch this video and tell me that this dude said that above 4092 that gold is going to become bullish, right? I want you guys to go back to your like rooms or whatever and look at those that mind-blowing, like not prediction, but I would say, yeah, let's call it a prediction. I'm predicting that above 4093 gold is becoming bullish, right? Already it's becoming bullish because we are not sweeping underneath this low. We are already bullish, right? But I already caught this trade like from the H4 perspective, so there's nothing like really big about this trade. The only thing that I want you guys to understand is that once price starts to become bullish above a structure, once we have higher highs and higher lows, that means that you have more strength. There's a stronger signal that price wants to what to buy. So I'll probably see you in the next coming sessions, perhaps during the New York session, right? I'll see you there. Thank you for watching.